Well, still staying on the economy now, Allianz Risk Barometer 2023. They have shared the risks ahead of the country this year. And top on that list, of course, is economic and political risk, violence, top threats, as well as corruption, skills and energy risk are also top on the list, and also the shortage of working skills. But let's get details of it now with Mr. Diron Adeyemi. He is the head of claims with Allianz Nigeria. He joins us also virtually from Lagos Island. Mr. Adeyemi, thank you so much for your time and good morning.
Good morning. Thank you for having me.
Great. So tell us, we see what you have listed. We see that you have macroeconomic development, the issue of inflation, deflation, monetary policies at 46%. That's almost half of the entire risk, even higher than politics and violence. Tell us how come you have this higher. One would have thought the political risk is going to be the highest for Nigeria for this year.
Right. You're right. When of course professionals came in and we had this assessment, macroeconomic development came the highest. Of course, the impact on our business is immense over the last 2 years. What we have seen post the pandemic is that a lot of things have changed in the financial landscape, and it has affected the buying power of the people, affected income from investment, as well as other financial indices. What we're also experiencing is that the rate of inflation at over 20% is also very high. And business owners and risk managers have identified that as the highest risk. Interestingly, also, this is not a situation only in Nigeria. A lot of other bigger countries in Europe, even China, are experiencing similar concerns. And interestingly, also in the world, macroeconomic development is also top 3. In fact, I think across the world, it's the 3rd biggest risk that we have identified. So it's a fallout of the pandemic and the crisis that we see between Russia and Ukraine. Of course, resultant effect is what we're seeing in the ranking indices as shared by Risk Barometer 2023.
Okay, when you say theft and fraud, if we could have that slide now, we see theft and fraud has 17%. Help us to understand, what do you mean by the theft and fraud? Where is that? What are the scenarios?
Right. So, when we talk about risk, we talk about what we expect to happen, or the fears or the expectations in terms of what the economy is seeing. So I'll give you an example. Post the lockdown, we had some protests in Nigeria. Interestingly, we had the NSAS protest as well. And we saw that there was large-scale vandalization of property and theft. People breaking into companies, breaking into retail sales outlets, and cutting away their materials. So this week is likely to continue based on what we see in terms of macroeconomic development, the low funds in the public, and also because there seem to be some weakness in security apparatus. We expect that theft and fraud will increase. Now, if you remember, cyber incidents is number 3 on the list in Nigeria. Therefore, fraud in there would relate to also targeted attacks, via online means at businesses or at private individuals to attempt to take away things from them. Corruption is one thing that we've always talked about in Nigeria, and because of the lack of funds in the general public and the rising cost of living, we expect that this risk will be something that is very important for us to check in the coming year. And this is why we see that at number 5 on the list this year.
The issue of shortage of skilled workers, does it have to do with the JAPA syndrome? Are we expecting more JAPAs in 2023?
Well, yes. The shortage of skilled workforce is actually a direct result of the JAPA wave that we experienced over the last 18 months. Risk managers in Nigeria expect that this will continue, and we've already started feeling the effects in the corporate business and the financial institution in Nigeria. The reason for this is many of the companies have said, and this is reports from business owners and CEOs, they spend a lot of money to upskilling and training people, and what happens is after a few months, these people have to move on out of Nigeria in search of greener pastures. So, of course, this is a risk that is inherent. We already experience it in the industry, and we expect that it will continue. Also, one of the things that we see driving this migration is also the instability, or changes in legislation that can affect the earning power or even the business environment. A lot of people are unsure what to expect in the coming year, especially being that it's an election year. So we expect this also to continue into the year, and business managers and business owners have been advised to plan towards being able to manage these incidences when they occur. So it's a ready risk, and we expect that to continue going forward.
Okay, it will be interesting to know if these risks are only high before the elections. After the elections, perhaps we should have more stability. Do we expect the threat and the risk to reduce, or are they still going to be this high?
Well, we believe that the coming elections and the 2023 list of things that are expected to happen would have a direct impact on the result of this risk assessment. Because this risk assessment was done in October, November last year, and we had a fair idea of what to expect in 2023. However, when we consider the risk at the time of consideration, we always look to the future to say, what do we expect to happen in terms of trend? We don't expect this risk to disappear. Possibly, for political risk especially, things might change a little bit when we carry out this assessment at the end of the year. But between now and at least 9 months into the year, we expect that this is what we will see in Nigeria. The outcome of the elections and the effect of some of the legislations we have seen, or regulations, especially with the Apex Bank, would also give us an indication as to whether or not some of these things might change. But I can assure you that within the next 9 months, we expect that the risk environment in Nigeria will look this way.
All right, so to households and businesses, even for politicians, is there any way they can hedge against at least most of this, the inflation, the political risk, violence, theft, shortage? Is there anything individuals, households, or businesses can do, to protect themselves, even if it's just partially?
Well, I'd say first of all, for businesses, we've seen, after identifying this risk, we've seen a lot of businesses take risk management very seriously. And in taking risk management seriously, of course, it means that they've also now begun to put in plans and methods or ways to be able to mitigate or reduce the effect of some of these things that were pointed out. So, for instance, we see a lot of companies are taking business continuity management very seriously, such that if they have ransomware attacks or they have a break in supply chain, they have a second alternative to kickstart the businesses. We have also seen a lot of businesses now create what we call training schools, to be able to have a ready pipeline for the supply of skilled workforce in case that they have all of these conditions. For households, one of the things that we've seen is what some households call austerity measures. They have begun to adjust their livelihood or the living environment to be able to respond to what we see in terms of the financial environment. We expect that to continue as the buying power of the people reduce and as we respond to the changes in the business environment. One of the things that we also see with this report is that ATCS and Allianz, being a partner, is not only interested in risk transfer or what we call insurance. We are also interested in helping people, companies, and households identify their risk and plan towards effectively managing these incidences when they do crystallize. So there are a lot of measures that people have been taking to be able to manage this risk when they do come. And for me, that's a positive in terms of the awareness of the risk environment and the changes in the economy as it affects individuals and businesses alike.
All right, Mr. Niron Adeyemi, thank you so much. Head Niron Adeyemi, thank you so much. Head of Claims with Allianz Nigeria, and because what we're doing here actually is to let our viewers know the risks ahead so they can actually plan for it. Thank you so much for sharing your reports with us this morning.
Thank you for having me.
All right. Let's take a break now. After that, we'll head to commodities and a whole lot of markets information coming for you here in Business Morning on Channels Television.